We are live. We are here. We in New York. Late night scrambling hours. This is a Mama J Studios production collab with Right Here Entertainment. Your man Uncle Tone. Long time coming. Y'all already know. I've been telling y'all for a minute that we was here. That was going to be going down with the podcasting. Took a little time. Sometimes the Lord, he has his own calendar and timing. But when it come together, it come together. So we are here. We are here, championship weekend. Big games this Sunday. Great games last weekend. I wish I had the chance to really talk about the games last week right afterwards. There's so much going on. A lot of sports news, a lot of things going on, but we're going to really drill down championship Sunday. For me, I don't know about a lot of other football players. I mean, football people, sports people, but championship Sunday to me is, I think you get the best football. You got two games, championship worthy, four teams. This weekend, championship weekend, are really two good. Really two good games. Both Seattle at home. That crowd's going to be rocking. Mile High is going to be rocking. So let's talk about a little bit. Let's dive into it. We're gonna have some fun, man. It's late night. It's Uncle Tone, man. We're here, scrambling hours. It feels good. Feels good to be live, man. It took a lot of tech. I ain't good with the tech, man. But I figured it out. Shout out to my support tech, helped me, put together the camera and everything. So we appreciate that. But listen, let's take a step back to last weekend, last Saturday. And, listen, going into that game, I felt, as a Bronco fan, I felt pretty good. Actually, I felt real good because, I believe in Bo Nix. Anybody who's been listening to me talk about, Bo Nix the last 2 years, I was big on him coming out of college. So the success that he was having here at the end of the season, even though, he's got a lot of detractors, a lot of haters out there, I always felt that I felt good, with number 10 back there. Like most people, I was game is over and I'm listening to, OBT, Orange and Blue Today, the podcast, two gentlemen I listen to, both Cecil and my man Andrew Mason. They do a great job of covering Broncos football. Good listen to. If you got any Broncos fans out there that want to hear a good podcast, two guys are, in the locker room that's on the ground, giving you good reporting. It's a good podcast to listen to. So I'm wrapping up. We're an hour in. I got the other game on and I'm fiddling around the house. I get a text from Cuz. Bo Nix broke his ankle. Reported by Adam Schefter. Come on, man. Hold on, man. Now I gotta jump online and see what's going on. I get it confirmed. And that's just that's a tough. Literally, not that be a pun, but that was a tough break. I thought Bo last week, if you go back and look at the game, we didn't have much of a running game. In fact, I think our running backs only ran the ball for 10 carries. Bo had that thing working. He had him, he had the team moving and grooving late in that game, making plays. And we've been making plays all year, defense, making plays. Yeah, they gave up points, but that is Josh Allen on the other side of the field. So he's going to make plays. But when you had to have him, 5 turnovers. And yes, that was an interception. I heard it all week. Oh, that was an interception. Yes, it was an interception. You must complete the catch through the ground without the ball moving. The ball was still moving. J-Mac was in great position. Was able to take it from him. It was a great play defensively. Defensive players get paid too. So yes, it was an interception. It was not a catch. You just had everything set up for this week. Drake May and, being the number 1 pick last year. Bo Nix being the last pick of the quarterbacks, number 12 of 6. So to be able to have, Drake coming, to your home for a championship game definitely would have been a stage to watch as fans for sure. And so we got cheated out of that. But And listen, I was hurt. I ain't gonna lie, man. After the first day, I was hurt. Saturday night, it felt like a bad dream. I thought we was dreaming. I thought it was a nightmare. So I'll wake up, it'll be better tomorrow. Got a good night's sleep. And look, when you as fans, any fan of your team, I know if you're an Eagles fan out there, shout out to all my Eagles fans out there, family and friends. I got a bunch of Eagles fans, Cowboys fans, Giants fans, Dolphins fans. You'll listen to, you're reporting to you in your local, your local hub, whatever reporters that you guys listen to. And they should, they'll give you the rundown of how the team is feeling, what the locker room is feeling like, what's inside, what's going on. Most good beat reporters, give you that kind of information. So I'm certainly locked into, what the locker room has been and, what these guys feel like. And listen, all of them, to a man. Now, first and foremost, man, they love Bo. They love Bo since he was drafted last year. Through the early parts of mini camps, got into training camps. The vets really took him in, embraced him because of the work that he was putting in. He was putting in work. I always go back to the practice, inter squad practice that they had against the Green Bay Packers last summer, and I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday, because they had it was scheduled for 2 days, but I think eventually they only did one day. But the one day it was out there, the Green Bay Packers player was like, "Nah, man, he's out there making plays. He's a good, this guy's pretty good." So when when you're getting that kind of reports, even as a rookie, and look, went 10-7 last year. Not granted, whatever you call the schedule, what it was, but you play who you play. They were 10-7. They got into the playoffs, and now they got beat by a better team. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills last year was a better football team. This year, this locker room has grown. Had to lick their wounds from getting beat up in Buffalo. 14-3 says that you're a pretty good football team. So, but to a man, everybody feels good about Jarrett Stidham. He's been not ironically, but I guess it is ironically. He was the first draft free agent that Sean Payton signed when Sean came in 23. So he went and signed him. I never forget. He went 2 years, $12 million. $6 million for a backup, but that's a pretty large number against the cap. So, thinks highly of him. He's been in the system for 3 years. He's not Bo, but we're not going to ask him to be Bo. We're going to ask him to be Jarrett Stidham. But from if we want to get into the X's and O's, and we'll keep it light on a Friday night. Once again, it's Uncle Tone. It's Right Here Entertainment. It's Scramblin Hours podcast, inaugural podcast. We're gonna have fun with it. We're gonna talk sports, talk a little bit of life. I do have a topic, for the day. I'll save that for the end. I think it's kind of wild, but I need some help out here in these streets because Tone don't know. You know what I mean? But I need to find out what's going on. Y'all gonna help me with that. But yeah, getting back to the X's and O's of it, because listen, man, this is a meat potato podcast. If you're looking for fluff, you can go that way. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about what's going on the field, keys to the game, all that good stuff. I'm going to get into the Seahawks and Rams game. We're going to get into that. But, from the Denver standpoint, and again, it would have been a big game with Bo and Drake. Obviously, the storylines, everything that you can compare. You'd have a field day. This also is story worthy. Because this is the first time you've heard different reports, but I think it was I was listening to ESPN. This is the first time that a player took the first start in the playoffs in a championship game. They said it was Roger Staubach, I think back in 73. But long story short, this just doesn't happen. Yes, you have had backup quarterbacks late in the season take over, and play games. Obviously, Jeff Hostetler back in 1990 Phil Simms got hurt. I don't know, week 12 or 13. Hoss came in, guided them to a hell of a run. In fact, that Giants team beat the San Francisco 49ers in one of the most memorable NFC Championship games that 1990, January 91, out in Candlestick Park, where the Niners at that time were going for a three-peat. They had won it in 88 against the Bengals, 89 against my beloved Broncos, 55-10, smash Rooney, and they were going for the three-peat. Giants came out there, played great football. That defense, that great defense, Giants, led by LT. That was their second Super Bowl in 4 years. Hallmark of a true defensive champion team. Both 86 and that 1990 team held that Giants team. 49ers team was a 15-13 game, 15-13 game, I think it was. Consequently, that was anybody who's watched NFL films, Leonard Marshall with the big hit on Joe Montana put him out for the season. Steve Young came in actually. That was when the replacement came. Joe was out the following year. That 91 year, if I'm not mistaken. I think 92. That's when he went to Kansas City and played in Kansas City for a couple of years. So you had obviously, of course, Nick Foles back in 2017. Carson gets hurt late in the season. Nick comes in, ironically. In fact, he had a funny tweet out earlier this week saying that, and I'm paraphrasing, but the Patriots have a hard time with backup quarterbacks in championship games. So I thought that was pretty funny. But to have your backup to start in a championship game with everything on the line, and he hasn't played, down all year. That's one of the Bo's traits. He has the most snaps all year, or the last 2 years. He hasn't been hurt. But look, players around him are going to have to play better. Offensive line is going to have to play better. My running backs and my running game is going to have to play better. Sean is going to have to design I know that he will, an offensive game plan that tailors to what Jarrett likes to do. So defensively, you're going to have to tighten up on the running game. Listen, the one thing the Patriots can do, is, they can run the football. Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, they can lean on you. Now, I understand that, Will Compton, and that, offensive tackle, he's been struggling. Offense, 4 or 5 turnovers last week against that Houston defense. Or 3, I don't think they had. CJ had 5 turnovers. But point is, they can lean on you. So, I'm interested to see what he's going to ask his backup quarterback to do. Now, look, Sean, Jarrett has been in the system for the last 3 years, so obviously he knows the system, knows it well. Sean says, look, he has the talent and the ability to be a starter in this league. Well, he's going to have an opportunity to show it Sunday afternoon. Weather looks to be 35, maybe 40 degrees. Beautiful, unlike what we're about to face here in the Northeast. Please, everybody, stock up. My residents, all my people down south, stay safe. Make sure you have enough of everything, supply. Make sure you have enough heat, blankets, candles, food, water, all the emergency things that you need, medications, because this storm ain't nothing to play with. So I know it's stretching from Texas to, when they said Mississippi, I said, this is wild out here, this weather. But, every now and again you get these type of storms. So hopefully everybody, please stay safe out there. Help your neighbor. Help a stranger. And, just be there for everybody. So look, New England, so they can do some things that, can give the Broncos trouble this week, for sure. Look, in championship games, And if you go back to the Rolodex of championship games, um, in the early 90s, you had the trilogy with the Cowboys and 49ers. Who was that? 92, 93, 94. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 92, 93, 94. Yeah, that trilogy. Um, it's really all about big plays, situational football. I mean, you hear these terms all the time during the season, but that's what it's going to be about. Penalties. Can you play, relatively clean game? Turnovers. The turnover margin is always, a key indicator. Um, Rushing the football, being able to dictate time, time of possession, all these things that, we take for granted as we're watching the football game. And sometimes we get caught up in fantasy numbers. But in the National Football League, in the playoffs, every play, every yard, every inch counts. So, for New England, hey, May can't turn the football over. I mean, it's really as simple as that. They're going to have to help Will in that left side. If the Broncos can get pressure with four and some sort. Now, Vance. It seems to me I would have to go back and look at the what he's dialed up, but it seems he hasn't been as aggressive with his blitz packages. Although I would say he's probably more right now trying to time it to get the right blitz versus just being aggressive. He may need to be aggressive in this game. But what you don't want to have happen is, allow Drake to just sit back there. I mean, look, he was I think highest completion percentage this year, like 72%. So he can sit back there and make plays. I mean, he can sit back there and make plays. He can, make all the requisite throws. His legs, just like Josh Allen last week, can certainly make plays. 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. If you're in man coverage and he sees that, the defensive back turn, I mean, he knows he has man. If you have a spy, but who could that spy be? And again, you're asked to bring down, Josh, 6'5", 240, 250. Well, Drake is about the same. I mean, he's about 6'5", 230, 225, 230. So in this game, he's going to have to make plays, and can we make the plays, the requisite plays to stop him? I mean, if you look at the theme, take a step back. The theme of New England, Denver, Seattle, and even the Rams. All these defenses are good. All now, Seattle is not probably they're the best defense left. Again, the Broncos have their vulnerability. You can run the football. You can be successful against Denver and run the football and be successful. New England, now granted they have Christian Gonzalez. But you can make plays, on now they can make, they make plays as well. The Rams defense, they have a very good front seven. You can make plays on in their secondary for sure. But they all have the one thing that all these defenses have, they have the ability to make a big play. And so anytime you have the ability to make a big play, in the playoffs, giving yourself an opportunity to score points and taking points away from the other side. So very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, what the game plan is. Unfortunately, J.K. Dobbins is out. I was hoping that he would be back this week to give us there's no doubt since J.K.'s been out, my running game, I shouldn't say mine, but whatever, the running game of the Denver Broncos is out. It hasn't been good. We have had a couple big plays here and there. But Sean, and rightfully so, to a degree, he's saying, look, our quarterback is really good. We're going to put the ball in his hands, and have a complementary running game, or at least to have to what the passing is. Can you have that same type of game plan with your backup quarterback? I would say no, that you can't. But I mean, we're going to see. Give me 1 second. when you're live and you're recording, baby, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? This is what it's all about. But yeah, so the question is can you get production from the running back standpoint, the running game standpoint, from Jaleel and RJ Harvey? It's a good question. I don't know. I think that you can. The offensive line is certainly good enough, but can you get the type of production that you need that's going to help out your backup quarterback? We're going to find out real soon. The Patriots, look, can you obviously run the football and sustain it for sure? Again, you'll have opportunities to. This defense has given up big plays. I mean, last week it was over, I think James and now I'm just going off the top of my head. I couldn't look up the numbers, but I think there were like 150, 160 yards between Cook and Josh Allen. I mean, so and not good, Bob. You know what I mean? Not good. So, and then can Drake, can he hold on to the ball? You turn it over on. Now you were at home last week. Your defense played well. They turned the Texans over a lot. I think they had like 5 turnovers in that game. But I think you had 3 of your own. So Maha is a place, or really any place at home, but certainly on the road, you do not want to turn the football over. Take away opportunity for you to score points, and then taking points off the board. Not for yourself, but God forbid if it's a pick six, scoop and score. Leads to a critical field goal toward the end of the half, just like Josh Allen did. Towards the end of which again, if you go back and look at that play, was just like, was the risk worth the reward? 16 seconds, no timeouts, trying to make a play. And 3 points, and again that's 3 points that that you lose by. Again, all these plays, first quarter, second quarter, they all add up, and they all count. So, Championship Sunday, scrambling hours, late night. It's your man Uncle Tone, with from New York, no longer in the boogie down. We kind of moved on up to the something side, north side of in the state. Blessings. Appreciate that. We're talking Championship Sunday. We're talking football. So, those are really the keys to the game for, and really it's for both teams. Again, last week, those that tuned in, watched the, my post from the Caddy Daddy Studios on the late night. I told you, look at the line of scrimmage. Line of scrimmage is going to tell you a lot. And it did. It told me a lot. Now, granted, what saved us was creating 5 turnovers. If CJ Stroud, look, CJ Stroud played bad last week. There's no getting around it. That defense, the Texans defense last week, stood on their heads. They were balling last week. And CJ was he was bad. There's no getting around it. Oh, yeah, hold on. CJ was bad last week. If I don't know if they would have done it, but was there a thought process to bring in Davis Mills at the half? Because it was that bad. Questions certainly that was going to follow the Texans into their offseason. But this week, look, you have a backup quarterback. Defensively, Mike Vrabel. Now, look, Josh McDaniels, say what you want about his head coaching experiences, and trust me, I know, because he was the Denver Broncos head coach, and he was dismissed in about 18 months. It was bad. It was about as bad as maybe 20 months, but it was bad. It was bad. But the one thing you can't take from him is he is one hell of a offensive coordinator. He knows how to dial it up. So I expect him to account for the left side of because the one thing that can wreck any and every game plan that you might have is pressure. The Texans pressured last week. The Broncos can pressure. The one thing about, and rightfully so, I mean, the Broncos get a lot of um, publicity for the outside edge pass rushing, and I think that they have really five. Q Robinson doesn't, a lot of times he's inactive because we just, the four ahead of him was really good. Now, obviously, Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper get a lot of headlines, but Jonas Ellis and DeAndre Tillman, they get a lot of burn and they get a lot of pressure. But we also get pressure from Zach Allen, who I think the last 2 years, but I know for this year led pressures on quarterbacks this year. I think of interior linemen, but I think overall pressures in the league. I mean, he's a monster. John Franklin Myers, uh, you know, Malcolm Roach, who is normally, and DJ Jones are normally tagged as the run stuffers, but have gotten consistent pressure. So pressure comes from all places from the Broncos, and so they're going to continue to look and see where they can press the buttons to apply pressure and hopefully get some turnovers. So how Josh and Drake and that offensive line come up with a game plan to negate those and be able to get the ball down down the field to well, look, and my man, shout out to my man, my roommate Derek, aka H. I mean, he probably sleep right now, but when we went to the Eagles game and Saquon made the big play down the field, and right before that, I said, look, their running backs and tight ends are going to give us trouble. I said that if they make this, if they concentrate on on those two, we're gonna be in trouble. Saquon makes a big play, and he's like, I said, yeah, that's the running back. I said, but who's the linebacker? The linebacker at the time was Alex Singleton. So I called it out before it even happened. I already touchdown and Eagles partying. Obviously, we know what the end score result was, but the point is you're going to have opportunities with Travion Henderson, not just in the running game, and again, remind your students, not just in the running game, but also in the passing game against my linebackers. I mean, it's no, the secret. We all know. Everybody knows. Can my linebackers and safeties, do a better job of covering and making plays. So they're going to have opportunities. Stephon Diggs and that receiving core. Now, if Matt Collins comes back, and Mac is I like Mac. He used to be a wide receiver in Buffalo. He's in New England now. Big guy, 6'5". Can make big plays, big catches down the field, but he loves the block. Loves the block. Loves to pancake somebody, out there as a wide receiver, which, there's an old saying, no block, no rock. So we appreciate Mac for sure as a football player. He was out, but I think he might be back this week. If it is, that's a huge bonus for the New England Patriots. As they prepare to get ready for Championship Sunday, man. This is going to be loud. It is going to be rambunctious. It's been 10 years since the Broncos been in a championship game. We harken back to that 2015 team, which also was really led by Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, T.J. Ward, Aqib Talib, that defense, Danny Trevathan, Brandon Marshall. I mean, Derek Wolfe, Malik Jackson, who I think Malik after that went on and played with the Eagles and won I think the champion. I could be wrong. Eagles fans, help me out with that. And that 2017 team, but that defense, led the charge. Peyton Manning, who that year was struggling physically. In fact, Brock Osweiler came in and played a lot in that season. I think he went 5. I think Brock went 5-0, if I'm not mistaken. And hey, listen, without those games, without those wins, you don't have home field advantage. So again, case in point where a backup comes in, he's ready to go. Stayed ready. Hey, if I don't stay ready, what I mean, I don't stay ready to get ready. What I mean, I'm already here. I'm already waiting for the opportunity. So that's the reports coming out of every report that I hear that's Jarrett prepares like he's that he's the starter. What I mean, and he goes through his reps every week. And I was listening to actually a podcast. I think it might have been OBT, Orange and Blue today. Shout out to those guys. And I think really back in the summertime or whatever, there were times when Jarrett would be dicing the defense up and giving Vance Joseph fits, and having Sean, get the cussing like, hey, what is going on? It's like, well, this guy's over here dealing. I mean, not granted, look, take what you can or take what you will out of practice, and running, not necessarily your offense, but somebody else's offense. But listen, you're getting live reps, you're keeping the arm alive. So I'm encouraged. I'm not gonna lie. Saturday was a nightmare. I thought it was it was all a dream. I thought it was just a nightmare, man. I didn't want to believe it, Tony. I did not want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't. But it happened. Literally a bad break. Literally a bad break. But you get a good night's sleep. Wake up next morning. All the reports. Obviously, I've been following all week. They're ready to go. So again, that's all you can ask for. Be prepared. Always stay prepared, because when your time is, when the opportunity is ready, you gotta be ready for it. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I'm looking forward to it. Again, I feel better. I feel better. Against Pat's Nation, welcome, stand up. I know I got a lot of Patriots fans out there. My man, my cousin Carter, and Carter, I know he one of them. I know there's some more out there for sure. Y'all, I'll be talking to y'all on Facebook. Y'all know I don't like, tweeting or Facebooking during my game. But if there's something egregious, something going on, I will say, hey, what's going on with this? But I expect a tight game. I expect a good game. Yes, the Patriots are favored. They should. They should be favored. They have their starting quarterback and we don't. Doesn't mean that I don't expect us to win. Again, I feel really good going into this game. I'm predicting that. Well, we'll see. We got one more. We got a show tomorrow. Talk a little bit more. Getting in. Locking down. But I'll give my prediction tomorrow. I'll give it tomorrow. Hold on that a little bit. Look, the Seattle LA game is going to be fun because they're division rivals. So when your division rivals, you take them all them records and all them numbers, and they got some good numbers. The Los Angeles Rams offense, they number one offense, in the playoffs, but one of the best offenses in the league for sure. Seattle, statistically best. Yeah, I think it was in the playoffs, but might be no, because Houston was number one defense, but in the playoffs. But this Seattle defense, and look, anybody who's been reading my power polls all week. First and foremost, shout out to everybody who stays up with that. I try to do a good job of getting good information in a tight space, so that it's readable, consumable. The power polls will always be a part of what we got going on with with Right Here Entertainment, Scramblin Hours. It'll be a part of the process. Now, I didn't finish out this year. Unlike the last 2 years, the last couple of weeks, I think I ended with week 15 or 16, but there was so much going on, personal wise. We had lost, some family members. And I just felt like it wasn't, even though I know that my family member, they were sports fans, sometimes, man, you gotta choose, at least for yourself, choose the right thing. And so I was let that lie and let that be. Um, but I knew that the podcast was coming too, and we would get back to it. But I just didn't feel right, doing the power polls. But if you read the power polls, and you can go back and you can read, I've been a Seattle fan all year, and a lot of it because this defense. Well, the defense and the running game. First and foremost, look, the end, and it's always tough when great coaches have bad endings. Sucks. Um, Sorry for the pause because I'm thinking about coaches with better endings. The Big Tuna, he had a great ending. Well, at least for the Giants. I think when did Parcells come with it? I think he was 79. I think he came in. I think he finally got it turned around. Like eight. Well, whenever they drafted Lawrence. Yeah, I think Lawrence was the 82 draft. I want to say 82, 83. Um, LT 56. Yeah, I mean the most dominant football player. As they say, he made two positions famous. Outside rusher, linebacker, and the protector, the left tackle. Um, but Parcells, won two Super Bowls in 4 years, 86 and 90, and I think he retired after that. I think that's when you get like into the Ray Handley years, and Giants fans who's been around long enough knows what the early 90s were like, and it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. Um, you had Bill Walsh. He ended up, back to back 88, 89, 49ers. Again, they beat the Bengals in 88. Joe Montana, the famous drive, 92 yards. Hey, he's at John Candy in the stands before they start to drive, just to get the players to relax a little bit, and hits the post of John Taylor back in the end zone with, I don't know, 10, 12 seconds left to go in that game. And then 89, which that 49er team. Now, this is another topic for another day. And sometimes I'm going to go off on a tangent because I have whole lot of information there. I got a whole bunch of stuff just in here that's been waiting to get poured out. And so, I'm able to weave the information in as we talk sports. Again, it's Uncle Tone, the Scramblin now with his right hand entertainment. We're here, we're live. Um, we're recording live. Hopefully everything will work out. What I mean? This is the guinea pig. This is the experimental show, but I wanted to do the show. I wanted to make sure that we was good. Again, this is a lot going on, moving and stuff. But getting back to it, Bill Walsh, he walked off back to back 89, and those Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs might have retired after the 91 season. I would have to double check with that. Joe Gibbs, head coach Washington, well, now Commanders. Excuse me. Hey, we got self edit. Make sure we ain't trying to get. We'll listen, man. We don't want no problems out here on these airwaves, man. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep it, keep it political correct to a degree, but we're gonna make sure that we tell the story the way it need to be told, and be real with it. But the Washington Commanders, but he won 3 Super Bowls. I don't know, but his last one was 91 when they beat the Buffalo. But 87 against the Broncos, and then 91, against the Buffalo team. Which that 91 team led by Mark Rippon, one of the best offenses in the National Football League history. At the time, I believe they were the highest scoring offense. I think. I had to double check at the time. Again, 91, but certainly now they may have slid to, because I want to say, and again, I could be wrong. They went over 500 points, I think, that year. Again, I could be Googling this, but it's going off the top of my brain. 500. I think they were like one of the first teams that went over 500 points in the season. But that they were, if consequently, Denver played the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. That game was in Orchard Park. If I'm not mistaken, that was the only game that Jim Kelly and John Elway played in the playoffs. John got hurt. Gary Kubiak came in. Glenn Milburn had a disastrous fumble at the end of the game. I think the last drive he had a disastrous fumble. I know Shannon Sharp talks about a drop that he had in that game. That was critical. So, because the reason why I bring that up, because Denver had number one defense, and I felt like that we had the better matchup against Washington if we'd have got to the Super Bowl. We didn't. We lost to Buffalo Bills. Buffalo, that was their third in a row. And no, second. First, they lost to the Giants, then the Redskins, and the Cowboys. The next 2 years after that. But again, that 89 team, the 49ers, for me, is the best team of all time. That 14-2 team. Again, second team, back to back. But most times coaches don't go out like Mike Shanahan went out like when he left. Unfortunately, after the 14 years, it was bad. Bill Belichick, we know how that ended. That wasn't ideal. Pete Carroll. When Pete Carroll left, John Snyder. Now John's been the GM there for a number of years now, but he has absolutely hit on draft picks, and this defense and really offense, but defensively they got players all over the place, all homegrown, all picked by John and that front office and that scouting department. They are a really good football team. Obviously with the home field advantage. And again, the biggest question that we've all had, rightfully so, has been Sam Darnold. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. Let's call it what it is. We have all had questions about, well, is he going to Darnold it up again? Is he going to see ghosts? Well, last year, old Sam showed up. Now, this last week, now look, playing a depleted 49ers team again, and I said it last week in the live last week. How the 49ers were holding this thing together was just beyond me, and it was a hell of a job by the coaching staff, Kyle Shanahan. And now look, I understand that they've got some question to figure out, but look. I understand next man up mentality. I trust me, I get it. I certainly understand. But when the next man up is barely up, it's not good. You know what I mean? Going into that game, what did I ask? Go back into my live and what did I ask? How were they going to generate points? Well, when you open the game with a 98-yard, but look, Rashid Shaheed. Hopefully I'm saying the young brother's name correct. You're going to stop punting to him. You're going to have to treat him like Devin Hester. You're going to have to treat him like Steve Smith when he was returning kicks. Help me out with you 49ers fans. You Eagles fans. Sean Jackson. Don't punt or kick the football to him. Starting the game, it's 6-0, 7-0, and you've played all of 7 seconds. So, I mean, that game, unfortunately the 49ers, how long as they could, but they didn't have enough players. I mean, that's just Unfortunately, the injury bug is unkind, and they were unkind to the 49ers this year. But again, the fact that they got to the playoffs and it paid off. Robert Saleh is now the head coach down in Tennessee. That's gonna be interesting. Shout out to my brother Dave and my other brother C Rock. They're big Titans fans. I'll get the gauge on them, talk with them a little bit. We'll talk head coach and stuff, and really that the NFL stuff heavy in the off season. Just because it's off season, it ain't off season. I mean, we always in season when it comes to National Football League and our coverage and what we're going to be talking about. But last week, look, they asked Sam to throw the ball for 17 times. He was 12 for 17, 100 and a couple, some yards. I don't even think he had a touchdown. He might have had a touchdown, maybe one. Hold on a second. A little thirsty. Again, appreciate y'all tapping in with me. Late night scrambling hours. This is what it's about, man. This is what we hear. You know what I mean? This is what we do. It's 1:48 East Coast time. But hey, when you got to get it, you got to get it. Shout out to all my overtime and shout out to my weekend grinders. I know y'all out there making that money, man. We appreciate y'all, man, out there, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, man. Keep grinding, keep hustling. That's what it is, man. We're going to get it. But they didn't ask, Sam last week to do a whole lot. That running game led by Kenneth Walker, who, running back out of Michigan State. He's the type of cowbell, that you can give 20, 25 rushes to. He's going to get better. Now, with Zach Charbonnet being out, for the season sucks. Because that's, they had a good two-headed monster, going, all season long. Excuse me. But, Kenneth Walker has the ability to really, again, be the cowbell, give you 20, 25 rushes. And one of the things that separates, not one of the things, it's the thing that separates, average to your really good and your great running backs is your ability to get better as the game, wears on. And so, that's the hallmark of any great running back. As they get better as the game, move, late in the second. Because, running game sometimes is body blows. You may get 1 yard. You may get 2 yards. You may get, now you get 4 yards. You may get 3 yards. You may get, but leaning on somebody. Late in the third, into the fourth. As long as you can manage the score and keep it close and do what you're supposed to be doing, you should be able to, again, stay with the running game and continue. Now, all of a sudden, them 3-yard runs, them 2-yard runs, now they're 5 yards. Now they're 7 yards. Now on, instead of second and, say, 9, now it's second and 2, second and 3. Now your play calling is different. If it's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, you have your playbook is open versus 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. So, when you have two teams who know each other, you're not, first and foremost, you're not going to put too many new plays into the mix this late in the season. I mean, you're going to, you may have a wrinkle or two for sure. But you kind of are who you are. And especially when you play inside your division, we know you, you know me. All right, who's going to out execute each other? Again, that's what. So the theme really, again, in both games, who's going to win the line of scrimmage? So when you're looking and like, oh, somebody's getting pushed out there. If you see like a little person, all of a sudden they get pushed this way, or they get smushed this way, or they getting pushed back this way. Whoever's doing the pushing, that's the one that's winning. And that's how it goes. I wish I could tell you something different, but the game of football. See, I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm going to go on a small rant. Gambling and fantasy sports have changed how we view and analytics numbers. They change how we watch or almost to a degree understand football at its basic core. And I'm here to tell people it's not rocket science. Football is not rocket science. Now, yes, there's angles and telemetry and how you distance and all, there's a lot of stuff. Football is you are to move the person in front of you. Can you move them against their will? When you can move people against their will, and then, well, now you can do the things that you want to do offensively and defensively. I mean, that's just what it is. Um, and in the playoffs, those things are highlighted, and it's even more highlighted when you know each other. You know everything about them. You know how what you know. You know how they want to try. They want to set you up. You want to know their tendencies. You're going to now. Can you beat that person on the other side? Matt Stafford, who I've always liked Matt, liked him at Georgia, liked him in Detroit. I think sometimes Detroit gets a bad rap. Detroit wasn't that good as a organization. Now they've obviously enjoyed a lot of success lately under Dan Campbell. Although they have questions to answer in the offseason for sure. This was a season that they didn't expect. But with that being said, Matt is balling right now. Again, there was a lot of questions about Matt coming into the season with his back. A lot of reports, as we all remember. But here we are. Here we are in the NFC Championship game. Now, listen, there's if top 5 stadiums loudest. Seattle. If I'm not actually, I think they may actually hold the record. I was listening to Nightcap. I watch Nightcap, every night. Shout out to, Shannon Sharp and Chad and the whole, Nightcap family. I listen to y'all every night when you guys are on. And they were talking about the decibels. 130, something like that. Decibels in Seattle. It gets now. Denver gets loud as well. Mile High gets loud. I mean, there's 4 or 5 stadiums that get loud. Denver and Seattle are one of them, and you will hear it coming through your TV. You'll hear it. You'll feel that energy. The 12s, they get live up there. The 12s get live now. They, hey, up in the North. Well, I could be wrong. Maybe it's a mentality. But they like, hey, y'all ain't paying attention to us. Yeah, we all the way up here in the Northwest. But when you come up here, we're gonna let you know that we here. And they let you know. So I fully expect the 12s to get rowdy. Again, I don't think either game is going to get out of hand. I expect both games to be close. I expect both games to be one possession games late in the fourth quarter. Again, what team cannot execute? What team can, keep down the turnovers? Huge. What team can stay close to a balanced game plan? And what they want to do and how they want to dictate it. All these defenses can dictate to the offense and what they want to do. They all have the ability. Seattle's defense, especially at home, has that ability. But look, when you got Stafford, that running game with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. Shout out to Blake, Michigan. We appreciate you. Of course, you got Puka and Devontae Adams. I mean, this offense is, hey, they ain't nothing and that's why it's what you want. And anybody who old enough to remember, and I'm old enough to remember. Listen, man, I'm getting old, man. Shout out to all my Aquarians, man. I know it's Aquarian season out there. Shout out to all my Aquarians, man. Love y'all, man. It's our season, man. Shout out to all my Ice Kings and Queens out there. Let them know what time it is, man. Aquarians, man, we the best ones. We the best out there, man. People love us, man. We can't help it. It is what it is. The question is, and again, Steve Young back in '94. Steve had been with the Niners. In fact, he had a famous game against the Minnesota Vikings playoffs. I want to say it was the '87 year. You can go back and Google that, check that game out. The Minnesota Vikings back then had a really good team. Chris Carter was on that team. I think Chris Dolman, number 56, was on that team. They had a really good team. But in fact, NFL Film, shout out to NFL Film. But I think that was the game where he had one of the famous runs. Yeah, in that game. Go back and Google it. Pretty sure that was the '87 game. That San Francisco ultimately, and I think they won that game. Memory serves me correct. But when Joe got hurt after the '90 season, the '91 championship game against the New York Giants, Leonard Marshall, big hit, remember? He went 3 years. '92. Well, he started in '91. I think he got hurt. In fact, Steve Bono played a couple games that year. But then in '92, he lost to Dallas in the championship game. '93, he lost to Dallas in the championship game. A lot of questions about could he win the big one? Could he finally get under from Joe's shadow at the time? Joe Montana, obviously, won 4 Super Bowls in the '80s. Joe Cool, went on and played for after he sat out the '91 season to recover. Ended up making it to the 92, I think, or 92 or 93. It might have been '93 championship game against Buffalo Bills. Lost against the Buffalo Bills. It wasn't until '94 when they went and got Deion. And when they got Deion Primetime Sanders, they brought him out to San Francisco to take away either Michael Irvin and or Alvin Harper. They had to make a strategic decision to take one of those guys away. And so I can't now. Don't get me. I can't remember. I want to say he took Harper and they doubled Michael. You'd have to go back and check. But what I do remember is Deion was the reason why they won that game because he literally was able to take away one half of the field. And then ironically, the following year, '95, he signed with Dallas and flip the power again. But the point is that Steve had a lot of questions about could he win the big one, and he answered it. That '94 run ended up winning that game. I want to say that game was at Candlestick, if memory serves me correct. That championship game in '94, and then obliterated. Obliterated the Chargers. Was it 49-21 or something? 6 passing touchdowns, whatever ridiculous nonsense it was. He was able to answer the call. Well, Sam Darnold, it's your time to see if you can answer the call. The defense is going to give you. They are. This is what I know. The Rams are not going to. It's not going to be 21-3 with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. That's not going to happen. This defense is going to give you opportunities to play in this game and to be in this game. Can you make plays when they're ready? Because again, this defense or the running game, led by Kenneth Walker, they're going to be able to now. Are they going to get 150, 175 yards against the Rams? No, because the Rams defense is really good. But you're going to have opportunities in the secondary where the Rams can get got. And can you make those the requisite plays necessary, to give Kenneth in that running game an opportunity, to not see, 8 men in the box? Can you get can you make plays the JSN? JSN has been cooking all year, just working, just going to work out there. Can you get him loose, against a secondary they've played better, but can still get got. And look, if you go back 2 weeks ago, Carolina Panthers, put up some good yards and good numbers against that second down. Now they made some plays for sure, but you were able to make plays against them last week. If anybody can explain the Caleb Williams throw at the end of the game, but had 2 interceptions. Key interception that led to the drive and score to win the game, right? So, hey, hold on, y'all hold that thought. I need to get my charger from my computer, man. My computer about to die. Hold on 1 second. There we go. And listen, man, sometimes you got to call on tech support. Guess what? I am tech support. Right here, entertainment. It's your man, Uncle Tone, man. I told you, man. I told y'all we was coming with the podcast, man. I told y'all this is what was going on. I told y'all I can't help if you wasn't listening. I really do this. I've been talking sports all my life, so this is easy to me, man. Told you we're gonna have some fun, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I really do, man. Championship Sunday, man. Pat Nation, stand up. You know what I mean? 12s. Where y'all at? You know what I mean? I know in the Pacific Northwest. Now, the Rams, Broncos country, y'all already know. My man Acosta, cousin Danny, come on now. All my Broncos fans out there. Miss Dawn, I know you out there. All my Broncos fans, Sean Bader, all my Broncos fans, stand up. Championship weekend, we are here at Mile High Stadium. It's been 10 years, been a long time since we've been here, man. Feels good. I'm not gonna lie. Feels great. Feels great. Need a sip. Man, when you talk a lot, man, you need something to drink. But shout out to all my folks, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all, man. But yeah, championship, so these are the things that we're gonna be looking forward to. Tomorrow I'm going to do a podcast. We're going to talk about, again, about the games a little bit. Moving forward now, look, the next couple weeks. Now, next week is a little different because we don't have any football games, so we'll dive into a little bit of some other sports topics. I could talk about the Lakers and the drama that's going on. Um, Look, I'll touch on it just a little bit because I'm a Lakers fan. Shout out to all the all my Lakers fans out there. Shout out to NBA Nation. We're gonna be we'll be talking about a lot of NBA basketball, a lot of NBA hot stove stuff. Trade deadline really around the corner. A lot of things going on. But briefly, don't be disrespectful when you get help. A helping hand is a helping hand. Be appreciative. Be respectful. Even if things, go left on you at the end. Those things happen. You know what I mean? Sometimes good business can go bad for a variety of reasons, and who knows. But the fact of the matter is that LeBron James came to the Lakers at a time when we were floundering. We were. Kobe at the time, the end of Kobe's career wasn't as ideal as anybody would have liked it. And in the years after, we couldn't get right. There was a lot of turmoil in the front office. Um, we didn't, requisite draft picks. There was no vision. There was no clear path. There was no structure that was geared towards how to win in this new NBA environment. Just weren't. LeBron came there for now to say that LeBron had basketball was the main. It wasn't. Let's not fool ourselves. LeBron had other um, opportunities that he wanted to explore, as he is still the best basketball player at that time in the world. Okay, well, the Lakers historically have signed um, big superstars. I mean, that's what the Lakers do. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it is what it is. Just go through the history. We signed Kareem. You know, we signed Wilt. We signed Shaq. We traded for Kobe. We traded for Paul Gasol. I mean, so it's if you go back and look at the only, let's say only your Hall of Fame players. Jerry West, I think he might have. I'm pretty sure he was drafted. But if you want to talk about the last 40 years, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, of course, Byron Scott was drafted. But the point is that the Lakers has a history of going out and scoring big. Well, guess what? We weren't getting LaMarcus Aldridge at the time was a high level all star player at the time. He chose other destinations. I believe San Antonio at the time over the Lakers. And he wasn't a quote unquote superstar. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold that thought. I just want to check something real quick. Again, this is what happens when you live, baby. You live and you're a dad. It still goes down. You got to check stuff. You got to make sure things are good. Hold on one second. Apologize for that, good people. When you're a parent, this time it was actually my dog. I wanted to check on him and make sure he was good, which is a good thing I did because I had to make sure things were straight with him. I had to clean up real quick. But that's what happens, man, when you're a full-time dad, man. It never stops, man. It's 24/7, 365. But I'm blessed to do it. You know what I mean? I'm blessed, so I'm thankful. But to all the pet owners out there, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. You get an inclination like, yo, did I forget something? Did I do something? You gotta check on the dog. So, but getting back to the topic. So look, with LeBron come some things. That's just what it is. One of the things that you're going to give up is control, especially at that LeBron at the height of his powers. You're going to give up. You're going to give up some control. I mean, that's just what it is. He's going to force you to move pieces to win now and not think about the future. No, ask any Miami fan, or even no, not Cleveland, but Miami. They didn't have anything. It took them a while to get they get them going again, with draft picks and pieces to be able to move and to rebuild. So you can't get mad at somebody when you are, well, first and foremost, again, we were down. I mean, I don't know what to tell Lakers Nation. I understand as Lakers Nation, LeBron never was fully accepted because of the legacy of Kobe. And then look, when you have Kobe passing in such a tragic manner that he did, LeBron, from the standpoint of trying to win over fans, or it's impossible. Kobe is beloved in Los Angeles and the surrounding and all throughout Laker Nation. He just is. We saw a young teenager, older teenager at the time. I think I think Kobe was 17 when he entered the league. I don't even think he was 18. I think he was 17. 17 and some change, about to be 18. So we saw him, literally grow from a teenager to a man with a family and kids. We seen him. We watched him grow. We watched his game grow. We watched him grow as a man. We watched his stumbles and falls as a man and his rise as a man. So you're not going to be able to replicate that type of intimate relationship with someone who LeBron at the time is a 3-time champion. Not arguably the best player in the league at the time. You're not going to have the same relationship. Doesn't mean you shouldn't appreciate and respect what LeBron has done. I know he gets a lot of flack for, and see, y'all started. I didn't even want to get into the Lakers thing, but I know somebody. I can hear one of my people saying, and shout out to everybody. I don't know if this is. I'm hoping that it's live. What I'm going to, it's going to get posted for sure, and then I got to figure out some things. I'm still new to this. It should be, but again, I don't know. I'm new to this, so we'll figure it out. But we weren't good, and he came in, and I know a lot of people want to give him flack for the bubble wasn't a true championship. That's idiotic. The bubble was, I would say, it was harder because it wasn't just players were separated from families to have to put on a performance that which a lot of people don't understand and don't like. Well, why did y'all? Because they understood. Here's what people didn't understand about the bubble and why it had to get played and consequently. And either people didn't know or they didn't really give it much thought. Either way, let me reiterate it for you. The reason why, because if you go back and remember in the early parts of 2020 when the pandemic was really in full swing, and look, I was front line here in New York City. We was ground zero during the pandemic. Every person in the in New York City, not every we didn't, people who there was a lot of people who left and went to the burbs, and hey, listen, man, if you could, we ain't mad at you. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could too, but we was front line on that every day, locked in every day. I'm working front lines. To all my shout out to all my frontline workers, group home. Shout out to all my the paramedics and the nurses and everybody working in the hospitals and the group homes and the nursing homes. Listen, man, it was real. Let's not sugarcoat what it was, because that's what it was. The pandemic was a real live thing. It was a lot. So I don't want to diminish, because I was a frontline worker. So I'm going to diminish something that I was there. You can't tell me, because I was there. Tone was there. I was putting in the work. I was working overnight, then coming home. Kids, they got online, now everything online. iPads and everything. Trust me, I was look, man, I was everything, bro. I was, the helper, the help teacher, you know what I mean? I was the help teacher. I was the custodian because I had to clean up after kids. I was the food service worker, food service lady, you know what I'm saying? Making sure, breakfast and lunch was being served. And I was all those things. I was librarian, you know what I'm saying? Looking up. So trust me. But as it pertained to what the NBA and what they needed to be done, if those games were canceled, it was the ability for owners to claw back a lot of power that the players had all fought for all these many years. They were going to, so you had to reach a certain minimum, number in the contract, because if you didn't, you were going to secede too much power back to the owners and too much money that the players, and rightfully so, had worked for, again, for the last 10, 15, 20 years, through the Players Association, their union. So to be able to navigate, now obviously, you had multiple all-stars that led the charge, but LeBron was one of them, understanding and knowing what was at risk if these games didn't get played. And so he navigated it, and look, won a title. We're not going to sit here and say, "Oh, that title is null and void." We don't do that to the '99 San Antonio championship, their first championship back in '99, when that was a 50 game schedule because of a strike shortened season. In fact, there was talk at the time that games should be reduced to 50 because they like the sprint of it because of the urgency of the games. One of the things another tangent, but the reason why the NFL and college football, and really all football, high school even gets ratings. ESPN shows high school games, certainly in August, leading up to both college and NFL. Is the urgency of it. There's an urgency, and we'll get into this game tomorrow. But there's an urgency. There's a finality when you have one game a week. Urgency, and people can focus in on that versus we have 82 game schedule in NBA. Same thing for hockey, baseball, which I love, but it's 162 games. I mean, I can't have. I'd have a heart attack. But by a game 43, if I put as much effort as I you know. So the point is that we're not going to diminish the bubble for people's, I would dare I say, uneducated viewpoint of what the that actually represented and the things that had to be navigated to get those things done, to ensure that, guess what, this contract that they just signed, which I think I went on a tangent. Was that last week? It might have been last week. How the new paywalls and this new schedule and how they, and I don't like it. But whatever. I was watching the end of the Milwaukee Denver game tonight. Denver ended up winning that game. Tim Hardaway had some big buckets down the stretch to close out the Bucks on the road. Point is, we're not going to diminish what LeBron has done for the Lakers. The reports, Genie, what I when there's smoke, there's fire. So I don't know why. I don't know why that this story came out now. You can't trade him. It's just a mess, and this is this is why I can't give this much as much energy, because I got championship football going on. But I wanted to touch it a little bit. Don't be disrespectful to the helping hand. LeBron came into the Lakers when we were down and out. He came in, brought us back to relevancy, brought us a championship. If Anthony Davis at that time would have taken the reins, maybe it's different. He tried. Anthony didn't take the reins. Yes, he had a hand. Yes, he wanted Russell over DeMar. I wanted DeMar. I'm never hating. You'll never hear me say a bad word about Russell Westbrook. Love Russell. Love everything. Yeah, his energy. He gives he gives everything he's got 100% all the time. You'll never hear a bad word out of for me, Russell. For Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? So salute to Russell. It was just a bad fit. That's all. It was just a bad fit, and then those things happen. Point is, with this new report and this new blah blah, there's a lot of stuff. Rich Paul saying what he said about Austin Reeves a couple weeks ago, and all this blah 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 stuff. When it comes to on the court, we're not a championship level team yet. We're not. It is what it is. We don't play good enough defense. How we adjust to that? How do we? That's a good question. We got to figure it out. Will there be a trade be made that's going to elevate this team to a championship team? Well, unless you get rid of LeBron. Let me take a step back. Unless LeBron wants to leave, and you get something for him, to put that kind of a mega deal together in 2 weeks, doubt it. He's a free agent in the offseason. Those numbers come off the books, and then you can, but you owe Austin. So there's going to be decisions made in the offseason. I don't expect anything major moving as far as the trade is concerned by the trade deadline. If it does, obviously we'll talk about it. As of I say it right now, I don't see that happening, because that's actually a topic we'll talk about next week. I'm listen, man, we're almost an hour and a half in, baby. I'm just, this is jogging to me. You know what I mean? This is light work. Point is, to wrap that up, a lot of brouhaha, a lot of stuff. Good for content. Will it change the structure and how we're playing basketball on the court? No. The only way that's going to happen is if LeBron, who has a full no trade clause, actually gets traded. If he wants to get traded, he can. I don't expect that to happen. He has his, of course, Bronny's still on the team. He has his, eldest child. He's got a child in college. I think that's plays in that. So yeah, no, he's business. That type of move is for the offseason. That's what I'm playing. So championship Sunday, right here entertainment. It's your man Uncle Tone. Scrambling hours, late night. Told y'all, man, the full thing was coming. Eventually, when I'm in my permanent space, I had to take over, commandeer the wife's space. When we're in the process of moving, and it's a lot of moving parts to that. So, but she sleeps, so I took over her space. So I appreciate y'all, checking in with me, tuning in with me. We're gonna be doing this, man, Friday and Saturday, for the next, couple weeks. In the off season, for the most part, Fridays and Saturdays, unless I have something planned, something doing that's and I'm out of town. But you're gonna get, we're gonna talk about everything, man. A little bit of life, a whole lot of sports. That's what it's about. So as we close this thing out, I just hit the 130 mark, which is kind of wild. But again, this is what I'm used to. This is what I do. Tone. This is what Tone do. If y'all didn't know, I talk like, what I mean. I can talk a lot. Y'all just don't know me. You ain't spent enough time with me. But hey, man, you here now, so we appreciate you. Last topic I got for tonight, because tomorrow, like I'm locking full in on these games, on the championship game. Not, we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow. I want to get a feel for, Rams. I'm gonna listen to some, Seahawks. I'm gonna listen to some reports. Obviously, I'm listening to, what Broncos going on. But I want to, feel what the Patriots are feeling like and how they're feeling. So I'm gonna do a little bit of reading, all that good stuff, little reporting. But we're gonna, we'll talk tomorrow for sure. Championship weekend. But the last topic I got for tonight, man, I was getting ready for tonight. And so, listen, man, when you're putting on the proper production, you want to make sure your lighting and cameras and, tech support and all that stuff is good. But I wanted to, make sure, look presentable. You know what I mean? So I was like, let me see if there's some, black barber businesses around. See what's going on. I need to know. And at first I thought I was tripping. I had to ask my coworker last night, what is going on with these barber prices out here in these streets? I need to know, man. I I, I was befuddled. Like I couldn't believe it. I really thought I was reading these numbers. As you can see, I got locks. Shout out to Elements of Treva, down in Pleasantville. Um, Wonderful black owned business. I love Miss Treva. Um, I've been, with that shop and the ladies from that shop, different ladies for, it'll be 10 years in April. So, but I normally, I shape my own stuff up, but I was like, listen, man, let me see if there's a barber around. I mean, chop it up, chop me up. I mean, just because I didn't feel like I've been running around, I've been crazy, whatever. Not that I can't do it, but I was just whatever. So I said, well, let me Google. Okay, they got the website. So let me check the website out. Hey, yo, these numbers looking crazy out here, bro. I wanted a lineup. Okay, I wanted a lineup. Do you know how much lineup they was charging? $40 for just for the whoop whoop de whoop. You know what I'm saying? line, like just the lineup, just the 40. But wait, hold on 1 second. We not done. Then it was like for some type of cut, it was like I guess like a full cut and the beard or something was like 65. Then it was like a specialty. I guess they put the towel on your face, something, something. That was 75. Then it was like the grand, like, you know what I'm saying? You get the cut and everything, and they guess they color you, put the colors in. Hey yo, that was $100. Hold that thought. 100. I say, yo, man, I don't know. When did these prices get to be like this? I said, nah, I'm good. I just take my time and do what I've been doing and save me. Not listen, eventually, you know what I mean? But not with these prices out here and the economy the way it is, and y'all charging, oh, and for kids cuts, they was like 40 for the kid cut. Now, I like all barbers ain't like that, but what I'm just trying to figure out is when do these prices get to be like salon prices for a haircut? I thought I was tripping. I really thought I was tripping. I had to ask my coworker last night. And they confirmed, like, yo, like, yeah, well, I mean, these numbers be running like, I'd be like, what? Listen, I'm getting older, man. Shout out to all my Gen X, all my Gen X's, man. We getting old, man. If you still here, man, it's a blessing. You know, I'm not camouflaging these grays in here, man. Every gray I earned up in here, man. Every last one of them, man. All of them tell a story. I'm appreciative and thankful. I am not. Look, 20, you know what I'm saying? 5 for the tip, 20, like I'm $40 for the, and I listen, that don't even include the tip. It'd be something different, like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, yo, that don't even include the tip. Man, man. Yo, stop playing, dog. Yo, stop. That's my topic. Y'all need to help. Please help me out. Let me know what's going on. I need comments. I need a text message. I need something going on out here, man. I need y'all to let me know what's going on, man. Cause Uncle Tone, I know I've been out the loop. Listen, I'm not a big fashion dude. I know I got the nice t-shirt, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Well, let me give y'all let me give you a shout out my t-shirt, you know what I mean? That boy good, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the, you know what I mean? Y'all old enough to know, if you know if you're old enough. You know what I mean? But I'm not a fashion. You're not gonna hear me knowing fashion or sneaker drops or I'm sorry, I'm an old man. You know what I'm saying? I'm old. I got too much other things to worry about than that. I've never been a fashion person. Just I like to look nice, but I'm not a fashion. So you're asking the wrong one. I've been out the loop for too long. But I need to know what's up with these barber prices. That's what I do need. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I look, I got nice over the years because of prices, and I'll keep being nice. You know what I mean? Just to make sure, because bro, who let me know in the comments, please. I need to know. Appreciate everybody. It's your man, Uncle Tone. It's the inaugural Right Here Entertainment Scrambling Hours. It's a Mama J production collab with Right Here Entertainment, Uncle Tone. Thank you so much, everybody. We're going to talk tomorrow. Championship weekend is here. Feels good. Feels great.